Now let's turn our attention to what's new in Windows Server 2012. The big question that a lot of administrators and a lot of network designers have is, should I spend the time, the trouble, the hassle, the money to upgrade to Windows Server 2012? Well, first of all, understand Server 2012 is an evolutionary revision of the product. It's not revolutionary. There's been no major big deal changes that everybody talks about and debates. It's not like a Windows 8 kind of a thing. But there are some very important evolutionary improvements that are, as a package, getting a lot of attention and making Windows Server 2012 look very, very good to a lot of administrators. The main focus in Windows Server 2012, when you boil it all down, was improving real-world implementation, making this thing work out there in the real world and meeting the needs of administrators the way they really are. Now, there are three main improvement areas that can be identified in Windows Server 2012. And of course, the first one, it's always security, right? We're always looking for more security, easier to administer security. The easier security is to implement and administer, the better it is. Availability, we've got to make sure these servers are always around when we need them and we can connect to them and get to our data. And then large-scale operation and management. Now, when it comes to security, we got increased support for industry standards. This continues in Microsoft Server products. We got TCP/IP way back in the 90s, and it's just continuing to this day. Now, they're also continuing this more secure by default installation design. What that means in English is when I install Server 2012, everything is turned off. If I want a functionality, I have to go turn it on because we're trying to lower that security attack footprint. Active Directory Rights Management is another functionality that's been added. It makes security more granular. It makes it easier to control in a lot of different ways for the way that we're using our networks now. We'll talk about that later. Dynamic Access Control is really nice because it now provides central access policies, which means that our file and folder access control is no longer a server by server issue. We can now do that in the entire domain as a whole. Now, under availability, direct access enhancements make remote user access a whole lot easier and a whole lot more secure for administrators and for clients. We'll talk about direct access later. Storage spaces, this thing's pretty wild. When you see this, you'll like it. It's a new feature. It improves file management accessibility. It continues to make large-scale corporate-level type file management more affordable, more available down to small and mid-sized businesses. There's also really improved clustering functionalities in Server 2012. There's no longer a single point of failure like a quorum disk, anything like that. Also, the clustering is much easier to create and to manage. Now, on the large-scale operation and management side, there's more power and control with group policy. We've got some more settings, some more things we can tweak. One real interesting tool is this IP address management, or the IPAM tool. This thing will organize, view, and report on utilities at the system level, not the server level. It'll show us things like IP address mappings, DNS, DHCP server configurations throughout the system, DNS, DHCP assignments throughout the system, and then here's the big one. This is the one I really like. We can now tag our IP addresses with descriptive information, and that'll really improve network management. And last but not least, we have improved distributed administration for all of our remote and branch office administrators. Remote and branch offices have kind of been left out there hanging for a couple of releases going back, and they've really kind of beefed them up since 2003. But again, in 2012, another leap forward with some of this stuff. So lots going on in 2012. We will talk about this stuff because if it's new, you're probably going to see it on the exam in some form.